This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com with another episode of Fast Action Fridays. And today is special for me because I've invited back one of my own clients, John Morris from Scotland, who's an awesome painter, musician. He's been a youth minister and speaker, lecturer, doing classes now. And there's a very special reason that I've invited him back today. He's recently made the leap from employee to completely self-employed. And that's what we're going to discuss today on this episode of Fast Action Friday. Hi, John. Tell everybody a little bit about your background.
Hey. Oh, boy. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful intro for a start. That was absolutely fantastic. Well, hey, guys. I think Kat pretty much covered it. I started painting, to give you a little bit more detail, I started painting when I was 17, and over the last 10 years, I've probably spent, I don't know how many, hundreds and probably thousands of hours learning my craft. My background is in business and understanding the fundamentals and the relationship building with folk, and I specialize now in being able to teach people step by step how to learn how to paint, how to unlock their creativity, and how to do something really, really cool and put artwork on canvas as well. So that's kind of sum it up about me.
And we're going into like our sixth year of working together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The listeners a little bit about what things were like for you 6 years ago as an artist trying to start building your business while working. Well, 6 years ago, I'd actually just started in my youth work profession as well, or the final place that I was working at, alongside running the business. And the quality of artwork for that time and for what I'd learned was okay. Now you look back and it's like night and day. It's completely different things. But also my thinking as well, in terms of how to run a business. And I know, Kat, we frequently laugh about this because it was more fixed on the old traditional teachings, which was you got to make a sale rather than you build up relationship with customers and clients. And so from that aspect, working with you has been absolutely fantastic, along many other aspects. But for me, I think, I was 22? We've been 22 at that point, so still very young in learning and in my thinking as well. And there was a number of things going on in behind the scenes, shall we say, that was very disruptive. So now, 6 years on, things are very much settled, and, I run a business that literally goes all over the world now into some, I don't know how many different countries and how many different places, all through the power of the internet and through Facebook mainly. Right. And I remember when we first started working together, you were enamored or persuaded by people selling on the internet, and it was a lot of flash.
Yeah.
In a very competitive market. So your work wasn't standing out. You weren't standing out. There was no branding of you as an artist. And yet I also remember one of your mentors, who I know you never met, but who a lot of people who watch this show will recognize the name, and that's Bob Ross, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Who people like
Bob was
him do TV online painting classes when we were growing up. You can still buy his little kits. All right,
absolutely.
Let's just bring this up to the present day. Now, until August, I think it was, you were still working part-time as a youth minister, so as an employee, and still running and growing your business on the side. So my recommendation is never to just quit and show your passion and jump into things unless you are ready for that, both mentally, physically, financially. I mean, if you're willing to start from scratch and don't need a lot, the financial stability may not be as great for you as someone else, but you were married 3 years ago, so you've got a wife to consider, and you have expenses
and you had expenses related to your business that had to be covered. You've got some health problems and issues that you've been managing, but they are not inexpensive to deal with either. So
Yep.
How did you plan this approach, and when did you really start thinking that you could leave employment and really build a profitable business that you ran on your own?
I would probably say that it happened over the course of about 3 years. And I know that there's a lot of people that probably see this that have been, following me, and they know bits of the story. There's others that's going to say, it happened like that. It really didn't. It was a 3-year decision, and I used youth work, quite honestly, to fund a lot of the stuff that was happening in business. And I totally agree with you, Kat. I would never encourage, particularly artists or musicians, to just say, right, I'm just going to go and run this business now full time. Especially if you don't have the financial backing behind you. It's really important that you have that. So kind of, I looked at the progression of business, how it had grown from year 1 to year 6 or so. And from a financial position, we looked at it and said, would we be okay financially? And the answer was yes, because my wife is also running her own business as a music teacher, as a piano tutor. And I just kind of looked at it, and there was a number of things that was going on with the youth group behind the scenes. It wasn't necessarily the youth themselves, but it was more the political stuff that went on. And I prayed about it a lot. And it kind of got to January, and for some reason, I thought, come August 28th, I'm going to be gone. And then forgot all about it and had a meeting with my boss back in, I think it was June. And to me, it was kind of, if I wasn't sort of on the edge of things in terms of leaving, after that meeting, I was more or less pushed over the edge. And I just felt it was one of the most unprofessional meetings. They wanted one thing, but they actually said they wanted something else. I found that it was, particularly a church that was really stuck in the past and really difficult to do anything with. I just wasn't really happy there. So after that meeting, went home and sat down with my wife, and again, as I said, we looked at it financially, we looked at where we were, how we were growing, what we wanted to do, and I suppose most importantly, could we afford to do it? And again, took that leap. But I'm not going to lie, I mean, for anyone that's done this, I mean, Kat, you know this yourself, it was scary. There was times, I was, saying, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? And I just felt very much in my heart, God was saying, look, whether you've done the right thing or you've done the wrong thing, this is the path that you're on right now. So you've got to make this work. But because I'd spent so many years in studying and building this up, and actually learning how to do this, I knew my safety net was, if this didn't work, I could always go into marketing, I could always go into sales, I could do something there. But this wasn't something I was going to try. It was something, again, that we were going to do. And then maybe 5 or 6 weeks after that, I kind of sat there. I thought, I've got time on my hands now a little bit more, and I want to start up the art school. It's something, as we spoke about earlier on, that I kind of sat there for about 2 years and thought about it, but the timing was never right. And I'd done speed painting tutorials, and I'd shown other videos and things and all stuff on YouTube. And kind of got to the stage where I was like, okay, I want to do this. How do I do it? And sat there and basically just, figured it out. You get a venue, you start promoting it, you start talking about it, where do you want to hold it? How much are you going to charge? So on and so on and so on. And eventually, a couple of weeks afterwards, we opened. And I've been running very successfully for the last 5 weeks. So, and this is going into many courses, and we do it online as well. So, we broke down a lot of barriers by just saying, right, I'm going to run art courses. Well, that's great, but you are restricted to a small area. For me, because of my social media reach, I can now run art courses in Australia, I can run in the United States, in Canada, in London, and we're doing all that, which is fantastic through the power of the internet.
Right. I think a couple key things that you've mentioned. One, this wasn't willy-nilly. Yes, the final straw was frustration with your job, which is not uncommon for many of us who leave a paid employee environment and the security behind. We become frustrated. Sometimes the passion is greater than the job desire. But you also did a lot of planning. You did a lot of your practice stuff. How are you going to do things before you made that leap? So you had something to go by. What was already working? What still needed tweaking? What could be tried and tweaked along the way? And I know you and I sat down and really worked out, how will this look if it's successful? You know, what are your income goals? Because you need goals in order to know the destination that you're going to take to get there.
Absolutely.
We all take little side trips, and sometimes there's detours that we have to take through no fault of our own in our planning. But without that plan, without that goal and that sense of direction you want to go to, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to make that successful leap. So I know and you made modest goals, you know, and we said, okay, how are you going to fill that? You know, what percentage of classes, of art sales? I know we talked and you did raise your prices because you were getting more popular with, there's only so many hours in the day, so you can't work, you know, as generous as we'd like to be. And you both of us have found ways to be generous in our businesses without affecting our bottom lines, you know, so that's one way. But you have to know and you have to be ready to raise your prices when necessary, try new things, and tweak along the way. Wouldn't you agree those are the three main things? Plan, try, and
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the reality. Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, that, you know, if you try something and it doesn't work, then you try something else. If that doesn't work, you try something else. And eventually you're going to find something that does work. You know, and for me, you know, I don't really put it down to anything. I put it down to trying things, I suppose, without even really being conscious of it. Just the way my brain works. I get an idea and I think, right, how can we do this, you know? And my brain works completely different, I'm sure, to the majority of people that's out there. And my wife tells me that frequently. So, you know, from that perspective and that position, I found what works for me. I found, how could I get across and get over with the public? I love to entertain. I love to sing. I love to write my own stuff. So I used all of that stuff in drawing people into the artwork, making it entertaining, rather than just being, oh, he's an artist. It's actually more, he's an entertaining tutor. He's an entertaining guy that we can sit and listen to for an hour. And that can really capture the audience and hold the audience because he understands them. And that was the biggest thing for me, was being able to understand. But again, as you said earlier on, it came back to trying, testing, and tweaking as needed. Because every ad that you put out there, I've been doing this, you know, a long time, you know, 12 years now. And, you know, I still have to tweak ads as well when they don't work, or tweak photos, or there's sometimes we do ads that I think, oh, that could really work, and it doesn't. And I just sit there and I'm like, oh boy, so you got to go back and work with your audience.
Right. Absolutely. Now, what would you say to someone who says, oh, but there's a lot of artists out there, or there's a lot of people trying to do what you're doing. You're succeeding, they're not. What's the difference?
I would say, because I see myself more as an individual. Going back to what I suppose I alluded to earlier on, I think I've got a good understanding on people. People love images, people love imagery, and they love color. They love something that can resonate with them. So if I can use what I've got to trigger, you know, something in their brain that says, you know, prime example, when I'm asking a question, would you like, you know, or have you ever thought of having a painting on a canvas, a pet on a canvas? And all of a sudden it triggers something in their head where they're saying, oh, well, I haven't, but, you know, looking at this guy's work, now I am doing. I just find, you know, I suppose, you know, I'm not your typical businessman, you know, where I'm just, you know, suit and everything else. I'm very relaxed in the way I deal with people. I chat to you as we're chatting now. And I am on screen the same as I am off screen. And I think that really comes across well. You've got to find what works for you. For me, I've been told I have a very approachable personality. I work well on camera. I know what I'm looking for, and I know what essentially what works because of all the years of doing it. So what I would say, I suppose to answer the question in a long roundabout way, I would say that people have really got to think about, for example, if they're going into tutorials like I'm doing, I'll just pick a very small part of the business, they've got to think, how do they look on camera? How do they come across? Do they have a product which people are going to look at and think, wow, or do they have a product that people are going to look and think, oh, that's quite nice? And if you've got something there that's just quite nice, you need to think, right, how can I take this and make it, wow, this is going to stand out. I would say to someone that's just starting out, really learn business, learn and understand admin, and really learn and understand as much as you can about what you do, because there isn't an area of the business now that someone could come and say to me, tell us about your website, tell us about this, tell us about that. I like being able to do all these things myself, because then I can tell you all the ins and outs of what goes into making this. And it helps me because I understand it more. I think a lot of artists now, they either recruit, they don't understand, or they just think, I can make it on selling my artwork alone. Some of them do, but the majority don't. And it's when people say to me now, you've got competition in the local area, and they're going to do art tutorials, you're going to try them. I was like, well, that's fine. Number one, they're doing it in another town. Number two, they have a different style. And number three, just because they're going to try, they may not be there in 6 months. I'm not trying, I'm doing it. And that's the difference.
The other thing I hear in what you're explaining is a very basic premise of rocking your path. My whole community, my whole business model is being uniquely you and finding your path to success.
Yeah.
So you didn't shy away from the things that make you you. You looked at what makes you and what's uniquely you and said, how can I use this to my advantage? Where a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there. And I'm not talking about just people who can use video as well as you do, or people who don't want their picture in every post that goes out on social media. I'm not talking about that, because if that's not uniquely you, that shouldn't be part of your model. No. But there's got to be something that's you. When I embraced my quirkiness, and I'm a geeky, techie, fun-loving, intuition type girl, when I embraced that and started infusing my business with more of that, my business grew. But like you said, I know my ins and outs of my admin, of my marketing, of where I want to proceed to, what I'm willing to let go of to get there, and what I'm not willing to let go of to get there, and I take responsibility for those things. And yet, as much as both you and I like to be very hands-on in our businesses, we're both building teams to help us do that now, right? So what kind of team are you building for yourself? What other help have you gotten?
The other help that I've got is, number one, is my wife. She deals with a lot of the craft side of the business, which she loves and enjoys. Me, I can do it, and I find it fun for a time, but then I'm always thinking, right, what's next? What other projects have I got to do? My wife just genuinely, and that's just how my brain works. But my wife honestly loves it, and I love that she loves it. So she'll say to me, right, prime example, we've got a new Christmas card coming out for this year. It's based around the Nativity. And she said, a couple of weeks ago, can you paint something like this? And the answer was yes. So I used that as a tutorial as well as the card. So now she'll take hold of this project and say, right, now I'm doing the cards, now I'm doing it for the calendar and doing other things. We've also got another member of staff that's based in Leeds, and she has quite severe disabilities and works from home a lot of the time. And part of the reason in employing her was because I'd worked with her before. I knew her fairly well, and she was able to say, there's not a lot of stuff I can do physically, but I can do stuff online. And that's where, a couple of years ago, it kind of got into my thought pattern that I prefer to work with people, this is terrible, but I prefer to work with people that have disabilities and that are based from home. The reason being is because the majority of them really struggle getting jobs. Especially if they've got a physical disability or they're, housebound, basically. Mm-hmm. And they can't go out to work, but they really want to work. So I just got to that stage where I said, okay, can you do Facebook marketing? Can you do, whatever it would be? And the majority was, as I say, yes. And, we make sure we look after them, and we do everything we physically can to take care of them, because I know what it's like to not be able to work in an office situation, but I can still pour 14 hours in to my business, and I can still do this. And people say, well, you work more than you work in a normal job. I'm like, yeah. I was like, and that's the reality. So we're building up that team there with a view eventually to taking on a salesperson, to taking on people that can really just focus on given areas that maybe have been written off by society, and people are saying, they can't do this, they can't do that, so we're not going to bother with them. Well, I certainly will, because it is really important. So,
and that's helped keep your costs of building a team, because these people are looking for avenues to build a resume, to build their experience. So they're not charging top dollar, but their passion is there. And this is part of the service that you want to provide. So you're being able to get wonderful support, to help, and yet not spend an arm and a leg. And I know something else about you is you do take regular time off. Now you're able to build it in and do a quick video on the road about where you're at. I mean, you're in an absolutely gorgeous place for filming and for landscape art ideas, which makes it a little easier than someone who may be stuck in the city. But the point is, you're taking advantage of every opportunity that's out there. And again, trying it, not sitting back and waiting 3, 4, 6 months, 5 years, wondering if what you're going to do is taking off. You're putting it into implementation mode and then tweaking from there, which is such I think people have that in their heads that they need to do that, but it's scary. And you got to the point where staying where you were was more scary than taking the leap of faith to try something, right?
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely. I think,
go ahead.
So I was just going to say, when you've done youth for over a decade, and it starts to be more of a rough and tumble youth group, it was never a case of I sat there and thought, can I still do this? It was just a case of, it was actually being more of a miserable experience. And I don't encourage everyone that's got a business idea to go out and do it, because there are some people that, I'm not going to say can't do business, but they're not going to be as successful because that's maybe not who they are. They maybe don't have the discipline to work from home. I've encountered a ton of people that have said, I could never do what you're doing. And I would say that's fine, because it means there's less competition for me. But that is the reality, that this isn't for everyone. You need to be really disciplined and put in, I would say, more work than what you would in a normal job. Go in a normal job 9 to 5, you can go do your job, finish at the end of the week, get your check, go home. This kind of work, you've got to be up at the crack of dawn. And, as I say, you've got to be willing to take breaks, know when to take breaks, but be very disciplined as well. And some are called to that, others not so much.
Some people are not meant to run their own business, have a glorified view of what it is and what it takes, and none of the realities behind it. All right, 2 more questions in the time we have left, okay? And I'm going to kind of mention both topics, and then we'll take them one at a time. One is, how useful has it been to you having a private coach during this journey of yours so far? And 2, I know you've got a very supportive wife right now, and having the support of your family, especially immediate family, can be so beneficial. But you didn't always have that, and yet you still forged ahead without that outside support from your family. So which one do you want to tackle first, the family or the coaching?
I'll go with the first one, the coach question. The answer is absolutely invaluable. I mean, it's just been so great from, I suppose, the first point of view, being able for you to work with me where I was at. And, I mean, I'm sure there was probably plenty of time that I drove you nuts.
A few times.
Because, because, but again, it helped me understand and get a better understanding of, what it is really to run a business and what it means to run a social media business and a business in this century in which we're living in. As I say, I mean, you was always on hand as well, you know, any questions and bringing in various people and contacts. And that really helped me. And both Katie and I had said it, that the weekly meetings were fantastic because, you know, if you were struggling that week, sometimes you just needed that energy boost with someone to come along and say, yeah, you're doing well at this, or you can just chat backwards and forwards ideas. And it actually started to feel like it was, you know, we were running a real business as opposed to just playing around a business where we're making money. We're now running a real business where we're making money. So it was an invaluable experience and still is. And it's been brilliant.
Well, I appreciate that. And I have to let people know that you have been among my ideal customer profile type people. You know, you came to me. I didn't go out searching for you. But here's some of the things that have made you an ideal client. One, you were looking to improve yourself and you were willing to listen and try things that were uncomfortable sometimes. You were willing to dig deep when you needed to dig deep and say, I either don't know or I really am scared to try that. And I pushed you to try it anyway. And you also held your own with your own convictions. This is what I want to do. I need to find a way to get there. And then working together, we did that because it's not me saying, assuming my persona on your business. This needs to be your business and your unique path to success, not mine. My job is just to help you get there. All right, let's go to that other question. How wonderful it is to have family support, and what are your tips when you don't have that family support? Because both of us have been in that situation.
I mean, it's a question I get asked quite a lot because my background is, I suppose, very, very, it's not uncommon, but to a degree it is very unique. I moved up to Scotland, as I said, 7 years ago, without a whole lot of family support. It was a case of, you know, Europe and Scotland, we're down in the UK, or down in England, all the best, you know, kind of thing. And there was a number of things I really had to go through by myself, and they were some really tough and difficult times. But as you say, I mean, you know, you forged ahead. There were the times that I wanted to give up, probably, but the reality is you're going to wake up the next day. There are going to be things that, you know, so you're either going to work through them or you're not, basically, but you've still got to wake up the next day. Even, you know, until recently, you know, with family support, sometimes I can find it more of a detriment because families tend to want to keep you in this kind of mold. And if you don't fit that kind of mold and you're a businessman and you come from the background that I do, it can be very difficult and uncomfortable for people to kind of understand, especially when you say, look, you know, I'm just, you know, newly married, you know, about 2 years, and all of a sudden you're saying, you know, I'm quitting my job as a youth worker and I'm going to run business full time. And even though it's been a success, they don't really get it and they don't really understand. And of course, you know, families love to plow in their ideas and their thoughts. And it drives me insane because the number of people, and on social media as well, that say, oh, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. Excuse me, you know, when were you running an international company? You know, how long have you been doing this for? But I suppose to answer the question in I suppose, a condensed form, without family support, it was really difficult because there was just me. And, you know, as I've alluded to and I said earlier on, you know, my relationship with God, that was, you know, whether you believe, whether you don't, I'm not I'm not up to question it. It's where I stand. And as Kat mentioned, it's my conviction. It's where I stand. But going through those situations, you know, going through my first separation by myself when I was up here in Scotland, that was a really difficult thing. And all I had was God. The relationship, you know, that he and I have is what's pulled me through a number of things. And I think it makes you a stronger person, but it also makes you a very, almost like a loner at times, that you do things without consulting other people, especially with business. You can say, right, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've got a good grasp on it. I don't then need to go and ask my mother-in-law or my father-in-law, you know, you think this is a good idea, you think that, because they've no idea about business. So I suppose for me, it freed me up in some ways because I didn't need to consult other people. In other ways, would it have been nice to have that support? Maybe. I don't know. It never happens, so I can't answer that question.
You can get comfortable with that support, you know, having that support.
Yeah.
It can make you too comfortable to take that leap of faith forward. And I know you didn't wait until things were going really rosy and you were making lots of money from your painting to work with me.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was working with you when I was in debt, you know, and that's the honest truth. And, you know, you hear stories about that. I can tell you from a, you know, first-hand perspective, you can see in my webcam, you know, this isn't a wonderfully high-tech show. This is done on a webcam to webcam. I can tell you quite honestly, you know, I was working with Kat when I was still, I think I'd either just finished studying at college or I was still in the process of studying theology. And I was in about £2,000 worth of debt from college fees and tuition. And there was umming and ahhing, you know, can I afford it, can I not? But I thought, you know, I need to take that chance. I need to go with it and actually see what happens. For me, it paid off. It worked. But as you said there, Kat, you know, sometimes you can get... Well, that's it. I mean, you know, if you're willing to do the work, but family sometimes, as you say, can keep you comfortable, but they can also hold you back because of their mindset, and particularly if they're of a certain age and a certain mindset, they'll be the ones that say, no, you go out to work 9 to 5, you get your salary, you stay quiet, you shut up, you know, you do this thing. And you know, I mean, even from my bodybuilding days, I never kind of fitted that mold. I never lived in that kind of mold. You know, and for me, I always knew that there was something different I wanted to do, and I wouldn't have been happy doing anything else. So I'm kind of really glad that I had that 6 years without family, really, because I think with it, their fears would have come on to me, and it can kind of condition you to the point where you don't do anything.
Absolutely. All right. I know we're going to put the link up on how to get in touch with you and check out your painting classes, online training.
Please
so let's go ahead and state it now, though, for anybody who may be watching right now.
Absolutely. Okay. If you are interested in painting, you've ever thought about learning how to paint, you've thought about doing something special, you can get in touch with me at johnmorrisartfromtheheart.com/School of Art. And there's some really cool videos and some really cool free stuff that's up there. You'll get tons of information that's very, very simple and step-by-step to follow. But if you do struggle, just click contact me and you can get in touch with me directly. And I'm on the other side waiting to hear from you. You've still got time to order for Christmas. You've still got another 5 weeks or so, so please do get in touch if you are interested in something special, unique, and something that's a tremendous amount of fun. So,
and that's
simple
great.
as that.
That was perfect. Great. And if you're watching this and it's after Christmas, I'm sure he'll do something
still get in touch with
Valentine's Day or Independence Day in the country of your choice. Or Thanksgiving,
Absolutely.
or following Christmas, or birthdays. I know a lot of your happiest clients have made the painting that you did for them. So it's not only a customized John Morris painting, but they've infused something of themselves into that painting, or you help them do that by putting their pet in the painting, or a loved one in the painting, or it's been about a special place that they go to, or the one you'll be working on with me, which is have elephants in it, because that's one of the things I teach is how to find and unleash your hidden elephants. So there's always that special component. I really want to thank you, John, for being willing to share part of your journey from struggling artist to now being completely on your own and doing quite well, making a profit, not just even breaking even. Things aren't always perfect.
Very much.
There's always testing and tweaking and the next thing, big success down the road, and wishing you gobs and gobs of future success. Thank you for the kind words about my coaching. Appreciate that as well. This is Kat Sturtz from rockingyourpath.com, and we're closing another episode of Fast Action Fridays. I want to welcome you back next week when we will have another wonderful guest. And in the meantime, remember to keep rocking your unique path to success.